Many Muslims, especially converts from Christianity, are familiar with the ayat in the Quran where Isa bin Maryam tells the tribe of Israel about the coming of Aḥmad, the trilateral root word for Muhammad sauce. The ranks, 61:6. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Mu'idh qala Isa ibn Maryam ya bani Isra. Yala inni Rasulullahi ilaykum, musaddiq lima bayna yadayya min at-Torah. ومبشرا برسول يأتي من بعد اسمه أحمد فلما جاءهم بالبينات قالوا هذا سحر مبين. And when Jesus, the son of Mary, said, O children of Israel, indeed I am the messenger of Allah to you, confirming what came before me of the Torah, and bringing good tidings of a messenger to come after me, whose name is Aḥmad. But when he came to them with clear evidences, they said, this is obvious magic. The mention of a messenger is key, because Muhammad was the seal of the prophets and called in Hewbrew, the messenger, or Shiliyakh, written as Shiloh, in Genesis 49:10, when the prophet Yaqub, or Jacob in English, reveals prophecies to his sons concerning the end days. The sceptre shall not depart from Judah, nor the ruler's staff from between his feet, as long as men come to Shiloh, and unto him shall the obedience of the peoples be. La yasul shabat miyuda, humahukm bin ragaleav, adkiya bashimim. This prophecy was so popular that in the biblical Gospels, the rabbis of Israel were reported to ask John the Baptist if he was Elijah, Yahya, or John in English, and stated that he was not. They then proceeded to ask him if he was the prophet, and he firmly stated he wasn't. Let's analyze the verse. John 1:19-28 NKJV. Now this is the testimony of John, when the Jews sent priests and Levites from Jerusalem to ask him, Who are you? He confessed, and did not deny, but confessed, I am not the Christ. And they asked him, What then? Are you Elijah? He said, I am not. Are you the prophet? And he answered, No. Then they said to him, Who are you, that we may give an answer to those who sent us? What do you say about yourself? He said, I am the voice of one crying in the wilderness, Make straight the way of the Lord, as the prophet Isaiah said. Now those who were sent were from the Pharisees, and they asked him, saying, Why then do you baptize if you are not the Christ, nor Elijah, nor the prophet? John answered them, saying, I baptize with water, but there stands one among you whom you not know. It is he who, coming after me, is preferred, whose sandal's strap I am not worthy to loose, i.e., Muhammad. These things were done in Bethabara beyond the Jordan, where John was baptizing. After reading these verses, it is easy to see that the prophet they spoke of was referring to the prophecy in Genesis concerning Shiloh, or quite possibly the prophet from Deuteronomy 18:18-19. I will raise up for them a prophet like you from among their brothers, and I will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak to them all that I command him. And whoever will not listen to my words, modern Jews, that he shall speak in my name, I myself will require it of him. Navi atim lahem mikaravasehem kamocha. Venetati devarai befiuv, vedevar lehem, it kala sheratzono. Vehaya ha'ish ashal lo yishmea el devarai. Ashal yadebel bishmei anochi adrosh me'imo. It can't get any clearer than this, but it actually does, which leaves many of us Muslims scratching our heads at how educated Jews can read such passages and pass them off as irrelevant. Let's look at 4 prophetic allusions in the Tanakh that, when looked at together, should erase the doubts of any Christian or Jew as to the authenticity of the Prophet Muhammad's messengership. 2 of these are widely known and circulated amongst our Dawah community. The last 2 are almost unknown to our Ummah, but not to the Hebrew reader or educated Orthodox Jew. Let's look at the first 2 now. 1. And he said, The Lord came from Sinai, and dawned on them from Seir. He shone forth from Mount Paran, and he came with 10,000s of saints. From his right hand came a fiery law for them. Deuteronomy 33:2. V'yamir Yehuah Mesaini ba v'zalach mish'ir lamu, hofia mihal ba'aron, v'atam rabot kodesh, miminu, ashtet ash dat lemu. The first part of this verse is clearly speaking of Musa, Moses, and the revelation of the Torah at Mount Sinai, but the second part is definitely clarifying the prophecy from Deuteronomy 18, which we already covered. Mount Paran is clearly Tal Faran, located near Mecca, and Jabal al-Nur, the mountain of light, where the prophet Sawaz first received revelation from the angel Gabriel, Jibrail. Also referred to by the prophet Habakkuk in Habakkuk 3:3, God came from Teman, the Holy One from Mount Paran. Allāh miti man yabu, v'kadush meha herfav selah, kasasha mim hodu, v'talatu mal'a ha'aretz. Now let's look at the description of the prophet Muhammad Sauce from the prophet Solomon's in the Song of Songs, which is known to be covered with dreams and metaphors. Song of Solomon 5:11-16. His head is the finest gold. His locks are wavy, black as a raven. His eyes are like doves beside springs of water, bathed in milk fitly set. His cheeks are like beds of spices, yielding fragrance. His lips are lilies, distilling liquid myrrh. His arms are rounded gold set with jewels. His body is ivory work, encrusted with sapphires. His legs are alabaster columns, set upon bases of gold. His appearance is like Lebanon, choice as the cedars. His speech is most sweet, and he is altogether desirable. This is my beloved, and this is my friend, O daughters of Jerusalem. Haku, mem tikim v'kalo Muhammadim, zedadi v'zerai benot Yerushalayim. Listen closely, Muhammadim, Muhammadim. In verse 11, the hidden allusion is in the word raven, in Hebrew spelled ahabe, and the word for Arab in Hebrew is aravi, spelled ayin, ra, ba, or va sometimes in Hebrew. Finally, in verse 16, Solomon says his beloved friend is altogether Muhammadim, pronounced Mekmadim in Hebrew, with the trilateral root hmd. The last verse is set off with the pronoun he, undoubtedly indicating a male, not an adjectival noun lovely, as it has been normally translated as. The last two proofs, in addition to the first two, make an undisputable case against those who are stubbornly hell-bent on denying the legitimacy of Prophet Muhammad's revelation. Now let's go to Isaiah 42:1. Behold my servant, whom I uphold, mine elect, in whom my soul delighteth. I have put my spirit upon him. He shall make the right to go forth to the nations. The mention of my servant is revealing the special nature of this prophet sent to all the nations. Verse 4 we read, He shall not fail nor be crushed, till he have set the right in the earth, and the isles shall wait for his teaching. The islands may be interpreted as the South Asian islands like Indonesia and Malaysia, who are now predominantly Muslim countries. It is interesting to note that Saudi Arabia is also a peninsula, so it is also quite literally almost an island. Then in verse 6 we read, I the Lord have called thee in righteousness, and have taken hold of thy hand, and kept thee, and set thee for a covenant of the people, for a light of the nations. The covenant of the people, and a light for the nations, is indicative of a non-Jewish prophet, since the word used for nations is goyim. Then in verse 10, we read, Sing unto the Lord a new song, and his praise from the end of the earth, ye that go down to the sea, and all that is therein, the isles, and the inhabitants thereof. Thus the new song is a type of praise verse, as predicted in what we now know today as Al-Quran, the book of praises to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then in verse 11, the location and its people are revealed. Let the wilderness and the cities thereof lift up their voice, the villages that Kedar doth inhabit. Let the inhabitants of Selah exult. Let them shout from the top of the mountains. Chidar, descendants of Ishmael in the wilderness, aka the desert of Arabia, and the Selah, known in Hebrew as the rock, is the black stone of the Kaaba built by Abraham and Ishmael. Can it get more clear than this? Actually it can, according to Allah Subhanahu's endless mercy. In verse 19 we read, Who is blind but my servant, or deaf as my messenger that I send? Who is blind as he that is wholehearted, and blind as the Lord's servant? This verse reveals many things, but the reader must be versed in Hebrew to catch it. My messenger that I send makes the clear connection between the messenger and the word Shiloh from the Yaqub, Jacob prophecy in Genesis. As the verb send is Hebrew is eshlach, the root word for Shiloh. Although Shiloh is spelled with a ha at the end of the word and not ha, as in the verb eshlach, a slight slip or intentional slip would make the word inconspicuous to the modern translations. rendering the word almost untranslatable, although this verse helps us make the valid connection. Jews are accused of tahrif al-lafzi or tahrif al-lafz in the Quran, and another example of this can be found in Genesis 16 verse 22. And he shall be a wild ass of a man. His hand shall be against every man, and every man's hand against him, and he shall dwell in the face of all his brethren. A wild ass was translated from pava, but this would normally be translated as wild, or an outdoorsman, like a hunter. So a wild ass of a man is a clear ungracious translation, or tarif al-manawi at best, because if the word is spelled with a ha at the end, then he is a bro, or a fruitful man, which he is called later in the same chapter of Genesis, leaving one wondering at this slight alteration, which has led to worldwide slander of the Arabs. Now let's turn to our last piece of evidence in the book of the prophet Haggai. 2 verse 7. And I will shake all nations, and the choicest things of all nations shall come, and I will fill this house with glory, saith the Lord of hosts. We are ashti it kolaguim, v'ba'u, hamadat kolaguim, umila'ati tabiyitaza kvud, amer, Yehuah Tzebaot. Now the choicest things of all nations is a loose translation as it literally reads, Hamat will come of all nations, as Isaiah 42 indicated, but much is lost in translation. One more interesting thing about Isaiah 42 is that something miraculous is revealed. Let's see it. Remember verse 19, Who is blind but my servant? Or deaf as my messenger that I send? Who is blind as he that is wholehearted and blind as the Lord's servant? Interestingly, the phrase as he that is wholehearted comes from the Hebrew word tim shalom, or read literally like a ki meshalam, the Hebrew word for Muslim, as the letter S and Sh are interchangeable in Arabic and Hebrew, the reason we say salam and the Jews say shalom. Hence, we have the word for Muslim right there in the book of Isaiah 42:19. Mi ol ti'im avadi, v'chadesh ki melachi Shiliyakh. Mi ol kim shalem, v'ol kavid Yehuah. Listen closely. Kim shalem. I could go on, but I feel it would be overkill. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide those who are looking for the truth and are sincere in heart. Ameen.
Standing on the mountain, looking at my palms, eyes full of water, hours of dua. Now they call me Haji, my head shaved bald. I didn't see this coming when I was trapped in school. A young'un on the come up, I'm waiting for the next train. I lived about 3 lives, had about 3 names. Smalls was a legend, Ashley Chin was a legend. Spun a block on them, MB that's a legend. No explanation, a slave of the master. Done my graduation, now they call me doctor. Life of a traveler, I ain't got no address. I don't even live here, I'm just a world guest. Name from a black slave, Bilal ibn Rabah. Reminiscing on the old days, listening to Anwar, teaching us the Sarah, made everything clearer. I ain't in the new school, this ain't my era, and this can never be home. This is my prison, my release date is the day that I'm risen, and the life's getting taken, journey of the soul. I'm glad I chose to listen to the stories I was told, or the lectures I heard, those books that I read. Tell them stop being lazy, bro, get up out of bed. Time waits for no one, tomorrow ain't promised. That's the only guarantee, I'm just being honest. That's the only guarantee, I'm just being truthful. Servant of the merciful, slave of the eternal. Street boy on the outside, Muslim internal. Words of a poet, this is my journal. Yeah, this is my diary, the children inspire me. I'm sitting with the orphans, this is my therapy. Cherno, Balmoral, Sarjo and Sully. I'm living life fully, finally how it should be.
When the angel blows and we all fall down,
we gon' make it. You're my brother,
I see
MB.
you again.
That's a promise. You know what I mean?
Resurrection day when the name's called out.
We already know what it is.